Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining me in practice today as we focus on our low back and hips. It is a sunset yoga flow where I am, but it does not have to be sunset where you are. Make your space cozy, whether that be with a block or a bolster, some tea, some music. And once you've found that comfortable seated position, we will shrug our shoulders up and down a few times, lifting them up high as possible and dropping them away from the ears to create space in the neck. Start to release some of that tension in the upper neck. Feel free to find stillness now. Hands gently placed on top of the knees, just as we start to settle into today's practice. And let's start by feeling this rooted sensation through our tailbone as we lift up tall through the crown of our head, visualizing that there are roots coming out of your tailbone and connecting you, anchoring you to the floor. Envisioning that these roots connect you deeply to the earth and to yourself. With that same visualization, let's extend our legs out in front of us for a seated forward fold as our arms sweep up towards the sky on an inhale, reaching up towards the ceiling. Allow your gaze to follow up towards the sky, and slowly on your exhale, fold forward, allowing a shallow bend in your knees, just as we start to wake up the low back, the hips, the hamstrings. And as we breathe deeply here in Paschimottanasana, seated forward fold, focus is in the low back and the hips. Inhale, lifting to a flat back, and exhale, fold forward, dropping the head down to the ground, tucking the chin to the chest. Again, focus is in the low back and the hips. And on an inhale, lifting up for a flat back, imagining that you're elongating your spine up and forward. And exhale for Paschimottanasana. Simply allowing the full focus to be on the breath. Filling up with life force energy as you surrender your torso down to the ground. And slowly starting to roll up. Bring the soles of the feet to touch for Baddha Konasana, bound angle. Bring your hands to your ankles and start to draw your chest forward as you lean over your feet. And take your time to do this, keeping a tall and long spine. And when you're ready, start to fold forward completely, allowing the head to come down towards the ground, down towards the feet, and gently allowing the head to rest on a block if you have it, or you can bring your head all the way down to your feet if you have that space. And so again, focus is on the low back and the hips. Right when you think you've released fully, release a bit more. Allow the hips to soften. Allow the low back to release tension before coming back to seated. Inhaling the hands up towards the sky, looking up, and we'll take a twist. Left hand to the opposite knee. Opposing arm can hook at the low back. And breathe, sitting up tall, crown of the head towards the sky. Coming back through center and switching sides, right hand to the opposing knee. Opposite arm hooks around the low back. Tall spine, full breath. And we'll come back through center. If you're sitting on a block or a bolster, feel free to move it to the side as we come into Balasana, child's pose. Big toes touch, knees are mats width distance apart. Walk the hands towards the top of the mat as you drop your chest and your forehead down to the ground. Make any small adjustments that you need to start to settle into the pose. Feel the expansion and the contraction of the body with the breath. The deeper you breathe, notice the way the hands want to walk towards the top of the mat as you create more space, both physically and mentally. Take one last really deep breath here in Balasana. And when you're ready, we will start to shift into tabletop position, stacking shoulders over wrist, hips over knees. Find cow pose and cat. One breath, one movement. Inhale for cow pose, squeeze the shoulder blades together. And exhale, round, chin to chest. Don't rush this. Inhale for cow pose, sink the belly button to the floor. And round, push through the palms, chin to chest. Coming back to a neutral spine, we'll lift the right leg off the mat, keeping a bend. Start to circle the leg around, big circles. Engaging the glutes, engaging the leg. Switch directions, big circles opposite way. Feel the full rotation. And extend the right leg behind you. Let's challenge our balance, coming onto the fingertips of the left hand. Reach it forward towards the front of the room. And bring the elbow to the knee and round through the spine, tap. Inhale, extend, long extension, and tap on your exhale. Inhale, extend, reach, and round and tap. Hold for one breath before bringing the left hand down to the ground and stepping the right foot to the top of the mat for a low lunge. Now taking some of the weight out of that front knee and lowering back into it. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower, open heart to the front. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower, open the heart to the front of the room. And exhale, shift back almost like we were coming into half splits. And forward for low lunge. Exhale, half splits. Inhale, low lunge. Exhale, half splits and hold. Come forward, low lunge. Inhale, sweep the arms up towards the sky, lifting weight out of that front knee to start. And sink forward. And we'll lift and lower a few times, doing so at the pace of your own breath. On the inhale, you lift, and on the exhale, you sink weight forward, adjusting your feet at your front foot as needed. Now let's come forward and hold, bring the palms to touch and find prayer behind the head here in low lunge. Release, and on your exhale, shift back for half splits, toes tucked towards the shin. Start to fold over that front leg. If your hamstrings are a bit tighter, feel free to stay lifted through the chest. And let's meet in tabletop position. We'll turn the right hand, palm face up, fingertips towards our knees, and start to curl those fingers in towards the palm to stretch out the top of that right hand. Really squeezing before releasing. Turn the hand back over, lifting that left leg. Start to take big hip circles, keeping a bend in the knee. Feel the full rotation. Switch directions, glutes are active. Focusing on the breath. Let's extend that left leg behind us. Coming on to the fingertips of the right hand, challenging our balance. Let's reach that right hand forward. Belly button to spine for core engagement, and tap the elbow to the knee as you round through the spine. Inhale, extend, and exhale, tap elbow to knee. Inhale, extend, one breath, one movement. Exhale, tap and hold. Catch a still point on the ground to focus before stepping that left foot to the top of the mat for low lunge. And let's start to shift forwards and back a few times as we continue waking those legs up. Incorporating your breath into the flow. And each time you shift backwards, coming closer and closer into half splits, starting to extend that left leg a bit more each time that you come back. And sinking the hips a little bit closer to the ground each time you come forward. Take your time with it, there's no rush. Let's lift our hands up towards the sky for a low lunge. We'll start lifted through the knee, and on the next exhale, sinking weight into that front leg, shifting back and forth a few times, adjusting your foot as you need to ensure that your knee stays stacked over the ankle when you come forward. Next time you sink weight into that front knee, bring your palms to touch and find prayer behind the head. As you draw those elbows towards the back of the mat, opening through the heart space. Release those hands down to the ground and shift back for half splits. Tucking the toes back towards the shin, high on the heel of that front foot. Dropping the crown of the head towards the ground and releasing any tension in the low back. One last full round of breath. Stepping the left foot to meet the right for tabletop position. We'll turn that left hand palm face up, fingertips towards the knees, and start to curl the fingertips in towards the palm a few times. Again, make sure you're really squeezing those fingertips in towards the palm to get the full effect of the stretch. Turn your hand back over, tuck the toes, and start to lift the hips for downward facing dog, sinking the heels to the ground before starting to walk your dog out, taking a bend in one knee and then the other. Take your time with it here. Really drop the heel to the mat, make contact, pause, and then switch sides. Pushing the ground away from you as you lift your hips high to the sky. Inhale, lift the heels high off the mat. Take a deep bend in your knees and step or walk to the top of the mat, bringing the feet a little bit wider than hips with distance apart for ragdoll, grabbing opposite elbows, hanging really heavy. If you need to shake your head out, yes and no, or sway from side to side to release any tension, feel free to do so now, finding any organic movement that suits your practice today. And once you really think you've released, release a bit more. If you're feeling tension in any places, envisioning with each breath that you're releasing the tension and replacing it with ease. Drop the hands down to the ground. Slowly roll up to standing, head and neck come up last. Roll the shoulders up and back for Tadasana. Palms face forward, step your feet back into hips with distance apart. Feel your feet rooted and anchored into the mat. Tall and lifted through the crown of the head. Grounded. Give yourself permission to just be. And we'll move into tree pose, lifting the left foot off the mat. Bring the arch of the foot around the ankle or the calf. Find your balance first, envisioning that just like a tree, there's these golden, warm, bright roots penetrating deep into the earth. Option to move that left foot to the inner thigh. Arms are your choice. They can be at heart center, Anjali Mudra, or up towards the sky. Find your drishti, your single pointed focus. Take a breath before releasing that left leg down to the ground. Adjust your feet for a small standing back bend. Bring the hands to the base of the spine. Draw those elbows in towards one another. Squeeze them together. And start to push the hips forward as you look up towards the sky, opening through the upper chest. The more you push the hips forward, the more of a back bend it'll be. Remember, it does not have to look anything like mine. Release the back bend. And we'll find tree pose on the left side, lifting the right toes off the mat, bringing the arch of the foot to the calf or to the ankle, finding your balance before moving that right foot to the inner thigh. Arms are your choice, knowing that what you do on this side does not have to look like what you did on the other. Give yourself permission to shake, wobble as you find your balance, directing your stream of consciousness toward a singular, pointed focus. And with that, right foot will slowly start to step it back with control. So we're in a wide-legged stance with the legs, and we'll reach our hands up towards the sky, starting to hinge at the hips. We're going to bring our chest parallel to the floor, and we'll shift into Skandasana, side lunge. So we'll move from one side, pausing, moving back through center with control and over to the other side. Coming back through center, grab the ankles, fold forward for wide-legged forward fold. Reaching the crown of the head towards the ground. Gently pulling on the ankles as you draw your chest towards the floor. Making sure that weight is evenly distributed in your toes and your heels. And we'll start to shift out of Prasarita Padottanasana and into downward facing dog, where we will start to lift and lower our heels a few times. On your inhale, you lift. On your exhale, you lower. Again, we're incorporating breath to body movement. Taking it slow with control, mindful movement. Both heels down to the ground, right toes to the sky for three-legged dog. Hips are square to the ground, bring them in line with one another. We'll point those right toes and step the foot to the top of the mat for deep lizard lunge, stepping it to the outside of the right hand. And we'll keep the back leg lifted, toes tucked, starting engaged, and let's lift and lower here. So straightening through the front leg and bending back into it. So we're getting both a hamstring and a hip stretch. Lifting up on your inhale, straightening that front leg, and lowering down on your exhale for deep lizard lunge. We'll do it 2 more times. Match breath with movement and notice where your stream of consciousness goes. Next time you come into deep lizard lunge, drop that back knee and tucking the back toes and bringing your right hand to your front leg, starting to push it out, coming onto the outer blade edge of your foot. Sinking the hips down to the ground. Take a breath. Notice the sensations that arise in your body. Coming back to face forward, either staying on your hands if your hips are a bit tighter, or feeling free to come down to blocks or your forearms to deepen the stretch a bit. Making sure to breathe deeply as you provide your body a safe space to deepen the stretch, to release any tension in that area. Can you invite ease into your body, into your mind, through your prana, through your life force energy? Lifting back up onto the hands, tucking that left foot into towards the glutes for a quad stretch. We'll do it a couple times, lifting and lowering it, tapping the ground and then tapping your glutes, or as far as you can. With that right hand, we'll reach around, grab the left foot. If you're not grabbing the left foot yet, that's okay. Create that mind-muscle action for that quad stretch. Release the back foot, tuck the toes, and extend both legs for pyramid pose, walking the right foot to the center of the mat. Inhale to a flat back and exhale, fold over that front leg, fully surrendering to the ground. Back foot should be at about a 45-degree angle. Again, if you need a modification, feel free to bring blocks underneath the hands or stay lifted through the chest. And we'll start to lift through our chest. Keeping our left hand on the ground, we're going to take a twist, reaching the right fingertips up towards the sky. The bottom hand is just there for support. We're not dumping our weight into it. Releasing the hand, both hands down to the ground. Step that right foot back into a three-legged dog and take a bend in the knee, opening through the hip, really dropping your chest down to the ground. Tucking that heel towards the glutes before dropping it down to the ground for Adho Mukha Svanasana. Left toes to the sky for three-legged dog, squaring the hips off to the ground, keeping them in line with one another. Lifted foot is engaged as we shift forward and bring the left foot to the outside of the hands for deep lizard lunge. Opening the heart to the front of the room, and let's start to lift and lower. Inhaling as you straighten that front leg and exhaling as you come back into deep lizard lunge. We'll do it a few more times. And how can you be even more present with this side than you were on the other side? How can you be present with the sensations that arise both in your mind and your body? Take your time. We will meet in deep lizard lunge, dropping that back knee and tucking the toes. Come onto the outer blade edge of that left foot as you push it towards the long edge of your mat with your hand, twisting towards the back of the mat. Breathing. Calling in ease. We'll turn back towards the top of the mat, both hands down to the ground. Option to come down to the ground or to the blocks. Knowing that you do not have to do the same thing on both sides. One side tends to be tighter and that is okay. There is no judgment. Honor what it is that your body needs, what it asks for. If you're on your hands and you feel your hips starting to open, feel free to challenge yourself and come down to blocks or to your forearms, seeing if you can't breathe through the discomfort that you're feeling. When you're ready, coming back onto your forearms. Chest is open to the front of the room. We'll take that quad stretch, starting to draw that right heel in towards your glutes and down to the ground a few times. Left hand reaches around and grabs for the top of that foot, gently drawing it towards the glutes. Remember, if you're not there yet, create that mind to muscle action, maintaining the integrity of the front leg. This quad stretch is really one that takes time and practice, so be gentle with yourself. Release that back foot. Tuck the back toes, step the foot in for pyramid pose as you walk the left foot to the center of the mat, framing the foot with your hands. Inhale to a flat back. Stay there. If you want more, fold over that leg, dropping the crown of your head to the ground. As you take a few deep breaths, just noticing how the sides are different. Noticing how you're feeling in your body, where your focus or your awareness is going. If you notice that your mind is wandering, find a still point in front of you or on the ground to focus on. Starting to lift through the chest, keep the right hand on the ground, lift the left fingers to the sky for a twist. That bottom hand can rest on your shin, the ground, or a block. It's just there for support, so try not to dump your weight into it. Left hand comes down to the ground. Reach those left toes to the sky. Open through the hip, take a bend in your knee. Bring the heel down towards the glutes. Dropping the chest to the floor before planting the left foot down to meet the right in Adho Mukha Svanasana. Come high on those toes, bend the knees, and step, walk, or jump to the top of the mat with control. Inhale to a flat back, reach the crown of your head forwards, tailbone back. Now reach the hands forward, palms face one another, using your back muscles to stay lifted. And fold forward, wrapping your arms around your ankles, making sure weight is evenly distributed in the toes and the heels. Bring the hands back down to the ground. Slowly roll up to standing, head and neck come up last. Sweep the arms up towards the sky. Draw the hands down through Anjali Mudra. And we'll take that same heart opener we did at the beginning, bringing our hands to the base of our spine, squeezing the elbows in towards one another, gently pushing the hips forward as we open the chest and the heart to the sky, drawing in that cosmic energy. Release. Bring your feet out, mats width distance apart, heels in, toes out, hands up towards the sky, and we'll do some mobility, dropping the hips down to the ground for Malasana. Lifting up to standing, exhale Malasana. Lift up on your inhale, reach for the sky, and exhale for Malasana. Draw that cosmic energy into your heart as you bring your hands into Anjali Mudra. Hands to heart center. Elbows gently pressing against the legs. Feel your skull lifting. Take a couple more deep breaths. Relaxing the muscles through the face. Inviting ease in with each breath. Let's sink our hips down to the ground and find a wide-legged seated forward fold. Bring your feet out wide as possible. Inhale the hands up towards the sky, and we will start to fold forward, not all the way down to the ground. We'll do that again, lifting, reaching your hands forward using core strength and lower back strength before dropping those hands down to the ground. The hands can stay directly in front of your torso if the hips and hamstrings again are a bit tighter. If you want more, you start to walk your hands out to a place that is comfortable but a bit challenging, and the option to go down onto the forearms or draw your chest to the ground is always there. Knowing that every practice is different, and what you need one day you might not need another. Again, take time to honor that. Honor your practice and where you are today. Let's lift up onto the hands. Let's find double pigeon, stacking the right leg on top of the left and keeping your shins parallel to one edge of your mat. This is an intense hip opener, so you may need a block underneath your hips to help elevate them, or even a block underneath your knee just to provide support. Sitting up tall with hands at Anjali Mudra, heart center, I would encourage everyone to start here first, staying lifted through the torso, tall spine. And if you find that your hips are open and you're looking for a bit more, bring the hands down to the ground, palms face down, making sure that your hips are really rooted into the mat. So you're gently pushing into the arms, into the hands, staying rooted through the hips. And if you want more, you simply keep walking your hands out further and start to fold over those legs. Double pigeon is absolutely one of those poses where deep breaths are your friend. Tension that arises in your hips can be dissipated through intentional breath. Again, if you're looking for even more, you can wrap those arms behind your back and drop the crown of your head towards the ground. And with each breath, feel your spine lengthening and the crown of your head dropping even more towards the floor. The more challenged you feel in this position, the more I encourage you to deepen your breath. Noticing where your stream of consciousness goes when you're feeling challenged in your body, when uncomfortable sensations arise. Let's sit up. We'll take a counter stretch, extending the right leg towards the top of the mat and taking a seated spinal twist, giving that left leg a hug as you twist through the spine. Left hand is planted behind you in the mat. We'll come back through center and find double pigeon on the left leg. So left shin is stacked on top of the right. Adjust your legs as you need. The ankle should be stacked around on top of the knee. Hands can come to Anjali Mudra, or you can find the variation of your choice. Especially in this pose, which is so challenging for the hips. Sides may be different depending on which side is dominant or not, or just based on what's stored in the hips. So be mindful of that. Don't feel that it's necessary to do the same thing on both sides, because it's not. Honor where you are, honor where both sides are. Allow your drishti to be your breath, your single pointed focus, or if you find it hard to focus on your breath, feel free to find a spot on the floor to focus your attention on. And every time you notice your mind wanders, gently call it back to that position that your eyes are focused on, or to your breath. Give yourself grace and patience, exactly how you would for a friend or loved one. Let's lift up through our chest and find that seated spinal twist on the other side. Left leg extends towards the top of the mat. Draw that right knee into your chest and bring the hand directly behind the spine. Coming back through center, we'll face the top of our mat if you're not already there, and gently roll down onto our backs. Cross the legs, stacking left on top of right. Bring your arms out to a T and drop those legs over to the right side of the mat. Option to look over the left shoulder if it's comfortable for your neck and your spine. And keep both shoulder blades rooted into the mat, allowing the twist to come from your belly button. Notice how the breath may become a bit shallower in these twists, and start to intentionally deepen that breath so that it really expands the belly with each inhale. And with each exhale, you can feel your knees sinking down to the ground even more. We'll take 3 more full rounds of breath. Take your time, surrender the weight of your legs to the ground. And when you're ready, we'll lift those legs back up through center and simply switch sides. Right leg stacks on top of left, dropping the knees over to the left side of the mat. Looking over the opposing shoulder if it's comfortable for your neck and your spine. Letting go of any sense of urgency or rush. Relaxing the muscles in your face. And simply allowing your body to become very heavy, very relaxed. Feel the release through the low back, allowing your mind's eye to rest in the sensations that you're feeling without needing to analyze. Draw the legs back through center and hug them in towards your torso, wrapping the arms around the shins. We'll rock from side to side a few times, giving the low back some love, doing it as many times as you need. Before releasing the legs down to the ground and walking your feet towards the top of the mat for Savasana. corpse pose. Take up as much space on your mat as you'd like. Let your arms and legs be wide. You can even bring your hands to your hips or to your belly and follow the natural flow of prana. So releasing any control over the breath, any control over the senses. Allowing a sense of relaxation to spread from the heart space up through the crown of your head, relaxing all the muscles around your face, and allowing that relaxation, that ease, that peace to spread from your heart down your arms to your fingertips, down your legs towards your toes. Savasana. Take rest. And starting to call that stream of consciousness back into the room that you're in, back into your body, feeling your prana. If you'd like to take a full body stretch, feel free to do so now. Giving yourself a moment or two to fully arrive back onto your mat, knowing that the practice of presence on the yoga mat can be applied to all of our daily lives. If you've made it this far, coming to a seated position, we'll take a moment to reflect, noting what it is that we came to practice with today and how we're ending our physical practice, knowing that the yoga practice itself continues even off the mat. Bringing the hands to heart center, let's end practice with a moment of gratitude. Anything in the world to be grateful for today. And in honor of this practice, in honor of our ancestors, our descendants, our family and friends, in honor of one another, namaste.